Welcome back to Bayou Time. We promised you a few months ago we'd start bringing experts in different fields to come on, and tonight we have Dr. Satish Arora with the Advanced Eye Institute. And Dr. Quinn Fago has done a great job of developing that institution and bringing in a lot of experts to talk about and teach about a lot of different things, and Dr. Arora is doing that tonight. All the phone lines are lit. I know you have questions. A couple of more from me. We were talking about floaters. We were talking about, matter of fact, young man working the camera said during the break, he's seen the squigglies and the floaters. What are floaters?
Well, we've all got them. As I was telling your friend, there are some of us who aren't as aware of them or don't notice them as much, or maybe have more or less. But every last one of us has them. And earlier we talked about the vitreous gel, the gel that fills most of the eye. And over time, that gel tends to break down. And as it breaks down, it'll form clumps of debris within it. And it's that debris that we see moving around in there. It's that debris that we actually see as those squiggly lines, or sometimes dots, sometimes smudges. Different people will see different things.
And it's sort of like a double pane window that has pollen in the middle of it, and it just obscures the view.
To a degree, that's exactly right. Now, the nice thing with floaters is that in most cases they don't obscure your view. They can be distracting, but they usually don't obscure the view. There are some people who have enough floaters or thick enough floaters that they do in fact blur up the vision though.
Okay. I told you during the break, I can't remember the exact year, but I was in my 30s. I'm broadcasting a basketball game. My vision starts to go completely wacko. I started getting flickering lights that took my peripheral vision out, and eventually took most of my vision out. Never had one before, didn't know what was going on, and went to my eye doctor. He says, "You're having a migraine attack." I said, "Doc, I'm not having a headache. I was going blind." He said, "You're having a migraine attack." He explained that, because a lot of people get them.
Sure. Well, there are different kinds of migraines, and what most of us think of when we think of a migraine is a severe headache where you can't stand to be around light, and oftentimes you're nauseated along with some other symptoms. And a lot of those migraines are preceded by the kind of visual symptoms that you described, and we call that classic migraine, and we call the visual symptoms aura. And that's a different story. Now, what you suffered was in fact a retinal migraine or an ocular migraine, and it's a similar phenomenon in that we believe it involves nerve tissue within the brain. The difference is that there is almost never a headache associated with an ocular or a retinal migraine. They typically last, in most people, about 10 to 15 minutes, and then they go away. And almost never do any of the vision changes persist, although it can happen in very rare cases.
It's funny, I have a bunch of friends that have the same thing. We all have different ways that we combat it. I take 3 ibuprofen or Excedrin migraine. I put ice on my temple, and it knocks it out pretty quick. Others do different things. So you have to find out what's right for you, don't you?
Sure. And then there are other things that we know can trigger migraines, particularly migraine headaches. And if you look at the list of things that can trigger a migraine headache, it includes just about everything, from chocolate and coffee to various foods and bright lights or bright sounds. And so, just like you said, you have to figure out what it is that relates to yours and what it is that works to get rid of.
It's funny because see all these lights we have in the studio don't bother me because they're quartz. Put me in front of fluorescent, or if somebody takes a picture and it's a quick change of light, there goes the migraine. So, so everything can be a trigger.
That's correct.
We live in a trigger-laden world, don't we? HTV, welcome to the program. Your question, please.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it me on?
It's you. Go ahead.
Okay. I have macular degeneration, and I see floaters as big as love bugs and marks a lot. I had 6 shots injection in one eye and 3 in the other. and I have the wet kind. What can I do about that?
Well, if you've been having the injections, assuming that they're one of the injections I'm thinking of, then you've probably had some of the best treatments there are. Now, the first thing to figure out is there still leakage? And your eye doctor can determine that by examining you and by doing testing with different kinds of tests, such as fluorescein angiography, which actually tests the blood flow in the back of the eye, or with OCT, optical coherence tomography. And that's a procedure that takes a scan of the back of your eye and helps us look for fluid. Now, if the fluid is gone, if the leakage is gone, the best thing to do is to give it time. In most cases, you don't truly know what the vision is going to be for a good 6 to 12 months after the treatment is done. In some cases, it can improve even beyond that. I've seen some people improve in terms of their sight a year and a half or even 2 years after treatment was completed.
Does that answer your question?
Well, I can see if I look direct at somebody's face, I cannot recognize it. I see the body, but not the face. And if I turn my head to the side, I can see them. So what causes this?
So she having more peripheral vision and?
Well, she does have better peripheral vision is what she's telling us, as opposed to her central vision. And what that tells us is that the leakage from the macula probably resulted in some scarring within the macula even after treatment. And there are procedures that various people have tried to remove those scars. However, most of those have not been incredibly effective thus far.
HTV, welcome to our program with Dr. Arora. Your question for the doctor.
Hello, Mark.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have two questions for the doctor.
All right.
Number one is I've heard about this radio wave to correct eyesight, and my eyesight is bad because of age. Is this a good avenue to take? And the second thing is I've worked in a fabrication yard just about all my life, and you have people that don't wear safety glasses. I have to keep reminding them, or maybe people even weed eating around the house, and they get a piece of metal or something in their eye, and the procedure that they have to go through because they have a tissue that grows over that within 24 hours. Mm-hmm. Maybe just inform the public a little bit.
Okay. Radio wave was his first question.
Well, radio waves in and of themselves are not proven to have a lot of benefit for the vision right now. In most cases, we use lasers for vision correction procedures, and they are quite effective. Again, it's important to see your eye doctor so that you can find out if your eye is amenable to having that kind of procedure, but lasers are going to be a lot more effective for that. Now, the other thing, as you mentioned, was that you had a lot of people working with you who don't use their safety glasses, and I'm glad you're staying on them, because I've seen some terrible injuries through the years from people not wearing their safety glasses. In most cases, people get lucky, and the metal or other foreign object stays on the surface of the eye, and we can remove it from there. And if you've known anyone who's had that happen, it's pretty painful. When you talk about it as being lucky, it's still a pretty painful thing. Now, the real danger is that in some of these cases, it can actually go into the eye, inside the eye, and cause real severe damage to the eye. If a foreign object actually gets inside the eye, it's entirely possible to lose the eye, and the foreign object has to be surgically removed as soon as possible. So I hope you keep on those people about wearing the safety glasses.
Well, Dr. Arora, we appreciate you coming on tonight. We took a lot of calls. We're leaving a lot of people with questions, but we'd love to get you back on, and we'd like to thank you for coming on and come pay us another visit. That was an interesting show.
Well, I'd like to. Thank you very much.